The land itself is overrun by terrible beasts. Legend has it that powerful beings slumber in this land.
Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Dark Souls 2 walkthrough. We are in No Man's Wharf, and this is one of the optional areas of the game. And I say that because it can be skipped. There are ways to do so, and I did mention at the beginning of this series that I was going to be giving you a concise way through the game. And some people might be thinking, well, why have you come here? And the main reason is, when you know what you're doing in No Man's Wharf, it's a pretty simple area. It's an area that gets considerably more difficult on New Game Plus because of a few unhelpful additions in the boss room, but for the most, this is a place that you can pretty much run through very quickly when you know what you're doing. And the good thing about this area is it also enables you to get some large shards off a crystal lizard and just build up those resources that are going to make it easier for you to make the more powerful weapons. So while yes, it is an optional area, we come out of it having gained the souls from the boss. We come out of it having gotten, a whole bunch more materials for our weapons and equipment if you want to upgrade your equipment, which I will not be doing. And it also gives us an alternative way of entering the Lost Bastille, which is the next place we will be tackling after this. And the main focus of going through the wharf for me is those two reasons I just gave, and sometimes getting the bonfire behind the wall in the Lost Bastille can be tricky from the other perspective because you're facing everything, and sometimes the blind giant mummy guy will throw the barrel down every time. There's not really much you can do about it, which is very annoying, as I punch this wall instead of pressing A to open it, which, if you're new to this series, or if you're experienced, pressing A is the new way to go. Not to say that it is always that way. There are some walls that have to be struck with your weapon or struck with an attack. In the previous games you could roll through illusory walls, but on this one it doesn't allow you to do that, which is a bit of a shame because it saved you the weapon durability issues, and this is a game that takes the durability a step further than any other Souls game. So this right now is me going into a room that you don't have to enter, but the reason I am is because I'm going to show you a secret wall, and we're going to get a crystal lizard. But just be careful of the pots, because that does happen. It's one of those things where the hit detection on this game and the hitbox is very questionable at the best of times, and when it comes to things like poison and area of effect, it can be a little bit bullshitty, so you have to put up with it because there's nothing that's going to change to make it work any other way. And I do believe it's a direct response from the direct damage system that this game utilizes. The previous games had that on certain weapons, but not all of them did. And now that this is a system that is designed for that system, I think a lot of previous play techniques and just a lot of the cohesion when it comes to striking has been lost in favour of skillful hits. But the problem is, it's okay saying skillful hits, but you can't control whether or not your attack does a horizontal or vertical strike on some weapons. You don't get the luxury of choosing. So at some points, regardless of where you sit on the fence of the hit detection in this game, you have to accept that you are gimped, and it's for no other reason than because the weapon you are using is not fit for purpose, which should never be the case in a game where you use weapons in this way. But I did that right there, shooting those guys off the bridge so that they don't come up behind you, because as soon as you enter this ship you're going to come into a little bit of a booby trap. There are two archers on the top parts of the boat, and there's a ton of dudes that are going to run out of this room that you just saw there. On New Game Plus there will be a red phantom here. He wears the armour of Horus. He can be a bit of a nuisance because he has a twin blade and he has some wicked range. But this is just new game, so there's nothing too much to worry about. Be careful of the guys with the two swords, the two scimitars, because they don't have much in the way of defense, so they're very aggressive. But because poise on this game is almost non-existent, regardless of what you're fighting or what you're using, stunlock is always going to be king, and it is a game that will always favour being aggressive over being passive, because if you get the first hit off, usually you can then chain it into a stunlock and kill whatever enemy you're fighting. unless it's huge. If it's big, then you'll have to meet its poise limit, which is hilarious because you can have over like 150 poise and they can still stun lock you with whatever they want. But this is the Flexile Sentry. This is a very simple boss. You're going to bait the attacks of the mace guy, which means standing near the mace side, because the scimitar dude is just too fast. Too fast and too potentially damaging. And all you want to do is counter hit him after these combos. Bear in mind that some of them, which are 2 hitters, can often be 3 hitters, which is why I'm a little bit hesitant to move towards him on this, because he can do a 3rd hit on certain moves. So it's all about awareness, it's all about knowing when to strike, when not to strike. This one has a 3rd move, he does a double-handed poke, but for some reason he doesn't do it sometimes, and other times he does, which I'd like to say it's clever AI, but it's just bullshit really, because the one time you go in to punish him, he does the 3rd hit and you take massive damage. So you want to be careful, but with the weapons we have, this is not a fight that's really going to take all that much time. Which is a good thing, because the water fills up in this area, and it makes it harder for you to move. And the game is completely biased in this regard, because it doesn't slow the mobility of anything that you fight. It just slows your mobility. And a lot of people who've played a Souls game before were thinking, well, that's not really such a big deal, because you'll probably get a ring that enables you to move quickly when encumbered in water. That ring doesn't exist, and it's one of the greatest step downs in this game ever. Because Demon Souls didn't have it and it was bullshit. Dark Souls had it and it was fine. Dark Souls 2 doesn't have it and you're thinking, how the hell does it get left out? But that's the end of No Man's Wharf. I will see you in the Bastille. And as always, folks, thank you for watching.